Wasn't I dismembered by those beastly neighbors? How did I wake up and return to 3 months earlier? Mr. Su Yang, elder Mr. Su left you 3 inheritances in total. One is $10 billion in cash. One is fixed assets and group shares worth $20 billion. The third inheritance is us sisters. As long as you sign, the $10 billion will be transferred immediately, and you will also inherit the entire Sutian group. I looked at the stunning pair of twin sisters before me. Office skirts, black stockings, high heels, figures and faces no less impressive than any top-tier celebrities. June 1st, 2024, a blue flash streaked across the sky, and global temperatures plunged to -50 or 60 degrees. For the first 3 days, everyone just thought it was unusual weather. A week later, food supplies ran out, and unrest began. 15 days later, the water and electricity were cut off, and human society completely collapsed. Scenes of cannibalism played out every day. By then, a pack of instant noodles could turn husband and wife against each other, make father and son kill one another, and make a top female star lower her noble head. And 3 months before the apocalypse was today, when I inherited a fortune worth hundreds of billions. Second Master Su Tianchong was separated from his family in wartime at age 10 and made his way alone in the new country, building a multinational group from nothing. By the time he wanted to look for his relatives, they had all passed away. It wasn't until after his death that they discovered that his elder brother's branch still had me, this grandson. He had no children, so this enormous fortune fell into my lap. In my previous life, after inheriting assets worth hundreds of billions, I didn't buy luxury homes or sports cars, nor did I enjoy life. Instead, I simped for Bai Lu from the same neighborhood. I bought her luxury cars, luxury watches, and designer bags just to win a smile from the beauty. When the neighbors found out I'd struck it rich, they all came running to borrow money and ask for help, and I didn't refuse a single one. After the apocalypse descended, thanks to my long-standing habit of stockpiling, I had stored quite a lot of supplies at home and lived safely for a month. It was I who helped those neighbors, allowing them to live with dignity. But the human heart is the least able to withstand a test. That manipulative bitch Bai Lu joined forces with her childhood sweetheart Lu Su to trick me into opening my door. Then the neighbors I had helped swarmed in, stole all the supplies, and still wanted to kill me. Their words still echo in my ears to this day. Cut him into pieces, and everyone can split him up as emergency rations. So what if he's rich? Didn't we still kill him? Don't think that just because you helped us, we'll be grateful to you. Save your money to spend in your next life. A favor of a leader brings gratitude. A favor of a bushel brings resentment. I understood this saying at the cost of my life. You never expected it, did you? I was reborn. This time, I'll make your lives worse than death. Mr. Su? Mr. Su? The twin beauties' voices pulled me back from my hatred to reality. Sorry, I lost my composure. I was very familiar with these sisters in my previous life as well. The older sister, Su Yunxi, is the chief lawyer of the group's legal department, and the younger sister, Su Muyu, is the finance director. They were adopted by Second Master when they were young and entered the group's senior management after growing up, one handling external affairs and the other internal affairs. They are the elites Second Master left me to manage the company. Looking at these two exquisite women, capable and wise, only 4 words remained in my mind: beautiful and competent. Thinking about how in my previous life I ignored beauties like these and focused all my attention on simping for Bai Lu, that low-grade coarse grain, I really wanted to slap myself twice. I picked up the pen and signed my name on the last page of the will without even looking. Transfer $5 billion first. Leave the other $5 billion in the overseas account. I have a major use for it. Without another word, Su Muyu directly contacted the bank. In less than 10 minutes, 35 billion renminbi arrived. The moment I put away my phone, a flash of white light passed through my body, and the phone vanished out of thin air, sucked into a pitch-black space. I was startled inside, but my face gave nothing away. With a thought, the phone appeared in my hand again. This is a portable space. After going through life and death, my temperament had long since changed. The two sisters didn't notice anything unusual, and I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Su Yunxi was the first to break the silence. Mr. Su is not quite the same as what we learned from the files. What am I like in the files? A timid, people-pleasing pushover, a simp with no self-awareness whatsoever, a hopeless romantic. She changed the subject, but the you we've met is like a cloud of mist. Faced with an inheritance worth hundreds of billions, your expression didn't change at all. And when 35 billion hit your account, you didn't even spare it an extra glance. Even the way you look at us sisters is calm and unfazed. A man who can resist money and beauty is someone capable of achieving great things. Worthy of being the chief lawyer, her analysis was precise and well-founded. But what she didn't know was that it wasn't that I wasn't tempted. It was that I had already experienced all this in my previous life, had just gone through betrayal and rebirth, and had even awakened to space. How could I care about these things? I said flatly, files are dead, people are alive. But can I trust you? As the words fell, my gaze was sharp as lightning. The two sisters were shaken by my imposing aura, then immediately understood the deeper meaning of my words. Sumayu said sincerely, if you don't feel at ease, you can dismiss us immediately and personally take charge of the group. The reason we are included in the inheritance agreement is purely to repay a debt of gratitude. Like you, we're orphans. Before the age of 8, we lived hand to mouth and endured every kind of cold shoulder. It was elder Mr. Su who adopted us, gave us food and clothes, sent us to the best schools, and gave us the chance to display our talents. Su Yunxi was even more direct than her sister. If we had any ulterior motives, this inheritance worth hundreds of billions would never have made it into your hands given our abilities. At the very least, with my status as chief lawyer and hers as finance director, it would have been effortless for us to hollow out the Sutian group. But we didn't. Elder Mr. Su treated us like his own granddaughters. We won't let him down. I nodded. In my previous life, under Bai Lu's manipulation, I fired the two of them. Without a word, they handed over all their shares and control of the board, then left with style. Combined with what they just said from the bottom of their hearts, I believe they were sincere at this moment. But what about after the apocalypse descends? When all things wither, the world is freezing, and survival is uncertain, can they still keep this original intention? I don't believe it. Since being reborn, I have become incomparably cautious. At the very least, I won't trust people so easily again. But for now, I still need to rely on their influence within the group to carry out my pre-apocalypse plans. This is a good opportunity to test these sister beauties. I like your honesty. I smiled and said, from now on call me boss. You two are my gold medal secretaries now. Secretaries handle business when there's business, and handle the secretary when there's no business, right? The two women spoke in unison. A hearty laugh rang out in the room. I shrugged. If you don't mind, I can totally accept it. In high society, who doesn't have beauties all around them? We've seen plenty of that. Su Yunxi and Su Muyu weren't angry at all. If boss has that capability, we sisters serving one husband together isn't impossible. Twin sisters, same beauty, double the joy. That's what you men dream of, isn't it? Girls these days are all this open-minded. You can even joke like that? Who said we were joking? The two sisters glanced at me. We grew up under the law of the jungle and understand better than anyone that the fittest survive. We've long been used to the extravagant and dissipated lifestyle of high society. Though we haven't fallen into it ourselves, we're not surprised by it either. If fate is destined to bind us to you, what is there that we can't accept? All right then, I'll wait for that day. Ladies, would you honor me by having lunch together? Since boss is inviting us, of course we'll show our respect. The three of us had just walked out of the building when my phone rang. I looked, and it was Bai Lu. Seeing that name, killing intent instantly surged in my heart. But reason told me that killing her now would be letting her off too easily and would drag me down with her. Letting her live in pain through the apocalypse would be the best punishment. Her message came into view. Su Yang, Lu Su and I are going to a concert tonight at 8. You're ordered to buy 2 adjacent front row tickets within 2 hours. If you delay us, you'll regret it. I was so angry I laughed. You two eat and I pay the bill. You watch a concert and I buy the tickets. Should I send you condoms when you get a room too? Do you really take me for an idiot? I held down the voice button and said just one word, get lost. Then I shut the phone off directly. Boss, your white moonlight contacted you? Sumayu teased. With two beauties by my side who are no less stunning than celebrities, would I still care about her? I pulled open the car door. Let's go. There's a pretty good restaurant near Fengyun Residential Complex. At this moment, when Bai Lu heard that get lost, she exploded on the spot. She shouted at her phone. Su Yang, what kind of attitude is that? Telling you to buy tickets is giving you a chance. Don't fail to appreciate my kindness. If you make us miss the concert, don't even think about me paying you any attention ever again. She sent 2 voice messages over, but they sank without a trace. What's wrong with this simp today? He used to rush to get things done whenever I asked. Maybe he's out of money. Lu Su said lazily. Impossible. His monthly salary is over 6,000, and he just got paid on the 20th of last month. Even if it wasn't enough, in the past when I told him to use a small loan, he wouldn't even frown. A wave of panic suddenly rose in Bai Lu's heart. Could he be simping for some other woman? She was counting on Su Yang as a long-term meal ticket. How could she tolerate someone else cutting in? She had to ruin it. She sent another voice message. Su Yang, I'm giving you one last chance. Deliver 2 adjacent front row tickets within 2 hours, or don't even dream of me ever talking to you again. It still sank without a trace. Come on, why bother with a poor loser simp? In a couple of days he'll definitely come apologize with gifts. Lu Su tried to persuade her. No, this is my idol's concert. If we miss it, who knows when there'll be another chance. Then let's just buy regular rear row tickets ourselves, and when that simp comes crawling back, we'll fleece him hard to make up for it. Lu Su opened the ticketing app. A regular ticket was 800, 2 were 1,600, and the thought made him shudder with pain. Both he and Bai Lu had come from out of town, had low incomes, still had to pay rent, and neither of them was the frugal type. They lived paycheck to paycheck every month. Although the two were childhood sweethearts and lived together, he knew very well it was only a shared rental. Bai Lu was proud and arrogant and looked down on him. She only let him kiss and hug her, but had never gone all the way. If he hadn't been thinking that Su Yang would reimburse the money, he really might not have been willing to spend it. All right, stop being mad. The tickets are booked. Let's go downstairs for a good meal, then watch the concert tonight. I brought Su Yunxi and Su Muyu to a restaurant called Liufu Residence near Fengyan Community. Boss, this place doesn't really match the status of a trillionaire like you, does it? Su Yunxi looked over the restaurant. You elites who are used to seeing the big scenes still care about where you eat? Not really. I'm just curious why you're so fixated on this restaurant that's not even 3-star. I haven't eaten their food for over a month. I've really missed it. During that month of the apocalypse, my mouth was so bland I could taste nothing. This place really does taste good, and it's close to where I live. The moment I walked in, I ran into a few acquaintances. They weren't the ones who harmed me in my previous life, but everyone knew the infamous top simp of Fengyan Community. Their eyes were full of mockery when they looked at me. I didn't care, greeted them, and took the two sisters to sit down. When those people saw the heavenly, beautiful pair of twin sisters beside me, their eyes nearly popped out. Women with even more presence than top-tier celebrities. Being able to have a meal with them would already be like smoke rising from one's ancestors' graves, and I had brought 2 at once. After sitting down, I ordered a whole table of dishes: lobster, abalone, delicacies from land and sea. Once all the dishes were served, I didn't invite the 2 sisters to start. I just dug in. Watching their own boss devour the food like a glutton, both sisters were stunned. Could the boss be the reincarnation of a starving ghost? Can your body handle eating and drinking like this? Having lived through the ice and snow apocalypse, I had an extreme obsession with food. Very quickly, I wiped out more than half the table. Not bad. I called over the owner. How much is this table? 1,500. After all, I'd ordered all the expensive items. Even the highest standard banquet in their restaurant cost less than 1,000 a table. At this standard, get me 1,000 tables and deliver them to number 001, Fengyan Community, by noon tomorrow. How many? 1,000 tables? The owner thought he'd misheard. This was a huge order worth 1.5 million. Not only was the owner dumbfounded, those people who knew me were all stunned too. Number 001, Fengyan Community. That was the detached villa that hadn't been sold for years. What kind of insane luck did this kid stumble into? I couldn't care less what they thought and said to the owner. Exactly 1,000 tables. Can you do it? Yes, yes, yes. As long as the boss pays, we can do however many you want. The owner nodded and bowed, looking at me as if I were the god of wealth. With this one order, I could shut down for the rest of the year and still be fine. Card. I handed over my bank card. The owner took it with trembling hands, his legs going weak as he walked. In all his years running a restaurant, he'd never taken such a big order. Keep eating. As I ate, I asked Su Muyu, if I sell all the Su Tian Group stock and Second Master's fixed assets, how long would it take? At least 2 months. Su Muyu answered without hesitation. Su Yunxi's expression changed. Boss, you really want to sell Su Tian Group? I must remind you, Su Tian Group is a goose that lays golden eggs. It can provide you and your descendants with an endless stream of wealth. Are you sure? What does one person need so much money for? Sell it. It has to be sold as fast as possible. No matter how much money you make, what use is it if you're not alive to spend it? When the apocalypse comes, that money will be too stiff even to wipe your ass with. Its only use being for warmth. I didn't explain and continued asking. It'll take that long, 2 whole months, to sell everything? Fixed assets are easy. The high-quality assets in Xinhua are worth $2 billion and can be sold off within a week. Su Yunxi said, the hard part is the group stock. Cashing out through the secondary market takes far too long. If we find a buyer to take it all at once, who could come up with 18 billion US dollars in such a short time? 2 months is already the most ideal case. I'm giving you 1 month to deal with the fixed assets and 30% of the stock. Tell interested buyers they'll get a 20% discount. 20% off? Sumuyu instantly calculated that would leave only 14.4 billion US dollars, an immediate drop of 2.56 billion renminbi. Boss, you can really bear to do that. Same thing I said before. Money is only money if you're alive to spend it. If you're dead, it's not even as good as paper. Boss, do you have paranoia? The two of them looked utterly confused. I smiled faintly. I can't tell you too much right now. When this day comes 3 months from now, you'll know just how right my decision was. As I was speaking, a shrill voice cut across. Well, Suyang, I told you to buy concert tickets for me, and you wouldn't. Yet you're hiding here eating lobster and abalone. Bai Lu and Lu Su had just walked into the restaurant and spotted me at a glance. Bai Lu immediately exploded. Then she looked at the half-eaten lobster and abalone in front of me, and both of them swallowed hard. Usually they could only drool over this kind of food. Bai Lu was even more furious, pointing at my nose and cursing. You don't have money to buy me tickets, but you have money to stuff your face here? Do you still want to pursue me or not? Get up right now and go buy me tickets. Looking at her shrewish face, I sneered. Are you way too weirdly confident about your looks? What's there about someone like you worth pursuing? If you want to see the concert, buy the tickets yourself. Are you so broke you can't even afford admission? Then I looked at Lu Su. Or have your childhood sweetheart buy them for you. Oh right, he's broke too. With a monthly salary of 5 or 6,000, he wants front row adjacent seats? Dream on. Why don't you two try taking out a nude loan? Though with your looks, even the micro-lenders might not be willing to lend to you. Laughter immediately erupted all around. Bai Lu was so embarrassed. She wanted to crawl into a crack in the ground, and Lu Su was so angry his teeth were clenched. Suyang, show some respect. If you want my respect, then you should have some ability yourself. 2 pieces of trash living off me. What's there to respect? Get lost. Don't ruin my meal. Say that again. Fire blazed in Lu Su's eyes as he raised his fist to hit me. Then a teasing voice came from the side. So when people get rich, can their brains get smarter too? I used to think Suyang was just a simple simp, but turns out he already knew these two were up to no good. Look, Lu Su even wants to hit someone. Suyang is rich now. After he hits him, can he afford the compensation? Ha. Quite a few people burst out laughing at that. These people were just there to enjoy the spectacle, and kept mocking Bai Lu and Lu Su, wanting to make the matter blow up. Just as Lu Su was about to throw a punch regardless of everything, Bai Lu grabbed him. As a top-tier scheming bitch, a pure White Lotus type, she picked up on the key phrase in everyone's mockery. Suyang had become rich now. She looked at the table of dishes he'd ordered, lobster, abalone, all of it worth at least over 1,000. The old him would never have dared eat something this expensive. Looks like Suyang really had become rich. The anger in her heart was immediately suppressed, replaced by a pitiful expression, and she pulled the baffled Lu Su behind her. She walked up to Suyang and said in a saccharine voice, Brother Suyang, you may have misunderstood me. I asked you to buy concert tickets because I wanted you to go with me. After all, I really do like you. For a scheming bitch like her, giving up dignity, changing faces faster than flipping pages, and turning black into white were her specialty. Don't think that just because you've made a little money, you can throw your weight around in front of me. Bai Lu cursed inwardly. As long as I use a little trickery, I'll make you, this simp, buy tonight's concert tickets. Not only that, you'll treat me to a big dinner and buy me tens of thousands worth of stuff as compensation. As if a simp could ever escape the palm of my hand. Dream on. Seeing that Suyang said nothing, the weirdly self-confident Bai Lu continued. Look, the moment I heard you were eating here, I rushed right over because I wanted to have a meal with you, Brother Suyang. You won't blame me for not telling you before I came, will you? As she spoke, she even threw him several glances she considered very charming. They made Suyang break out in goosebumps, and what he'd just eaten churned in his stomach, making him want to vomit. Who gave you the confidence to think I'd go to the concert with you? Suyang said coldly. If you can't afford the ticket, go sell yourself. Charge 100 per person, sell her 100 or so times. And wouldn't that be enough? Stay away from my table, you're ruining my appetite. Being humiliated like this by someone she had always regarded as a simp, Bai Lu could no longer endure it. She shot to her feet with a whoosh, about to point at Suyang's nose and curse him out. At this moment, however, the restaurant owner walked over. Mr. Su, here is your bank card. And for the 1,000 tables of identical banquets you just ordered, the total is 1.5 million. The invoice has already been issued. We will deliver them to Fongyun Residential Complex number 001 on time tomorrow noon. What? Spending 1.5 million to order 1,000 banquet tables? And having them delivered to Fongyun Residential Complex number 001? Bai Lu once again suppressed the anger in her heart and looked at Su Yang with shining eyes. She had thought he'd just stumbled into some dumb luck and made a little money, enough to come eat here. But spending 1.5 million just like that? How was that a little money? What kind of fortune did he have to spend so much just on banquet tables? Could it be that he had also bought the villa at number 001? That was worth tens of millions. Countless thoughts drifted through her mind as she tried hard to put on an extremely pleasantly surprised expression and moved closer to him again. Brother Su Yang, did you order so many banquet tables to treat everyone in the whole neighborhood to a meal? Also, did you buy that villa in our neighborhood too? That's really amazing. From now on, we can live happily in a big house together. I always knew you would amount to something. See, I was right. Sure enough, when a person is shameless enough, they're invincible. Su Yang looked at her as if she were mentally ill. He felt even more disgusted at once, thinking to himself, my taste really was terrible before. Brother Su Yang, let's hurry back and go look at our new home. As Bai Lu spoke, she reached for Su Yang's hand to pull him outside. But he shook her off at once. Don't touch me. I have a cleanliness obsession. Go pee in a toilet and take a good look at yourself. What status do you have to be calling me brother? If I had a sister like you, I'd rather smash my head to death. At this point, even the two sisters Su Yunxi and Su Muyu couldn't stand it anymore. They stood up and said to the restaurant owner, is your restaurant really that blind? Can't you see someone is disturbing our boss while he's eating? Why aren't you throwing her out already? Only then did Bai Lu notice the pair of twin sisters with both stunning looks and amazing figures. Looking at them, they had the bodies, the faces, and that noble aura. Even she felt a little captivated. But as the manipulative Bai Lu, she was just as irrationally confident in her own looks and figure, believing she was no worse than them. And hearing them call Su Yang boss, she immediately made up a story in her head. These two must be women Su Yang keeps outside. What kind of person casually calls someone else boss? They must be prostitutes. Then what do I have to be afraid of from you two? You're nothing but gaudy sluts. A slight smile curled at the corner of her mouth as she came up with a good countermeasure. Brother Su Yang, you mustn't let these two vixens confuse you. They're definitely with you for your money. Bai Lu said to Su Yang in a very concerned tone, but I'm different. What I care about most is you yourself. Whether you have money or not, I'll always treat you well. You two must be the ones who got Brother Su Yang to order this 1.5 million banquet, right? Bai Lu looked at the two sisters disdainfully and said, I knew you two were up to no good, only trying to deceive my brother Su Yang. Brother Su Yang, return it. Be good, let's not waste money like this. Just tell me what you want to eat, and I'll make it for you when we get home. The restaurant owner turned pale when he heard this. He really was afraid that the other party had ordered the banquet on a hot-headed impulse. If it were really cancelled, he wouldn't even have a place to argue his case. He glared viciously at Bai Lu, practically wanting to strangle her to death. The two sisters, Su Yunxi and Su Muyu, let out a light laugh. When they had previously investigated Su Yang's background, they had also learned something about Bai Lu. They had only known that she was a manipulative bitch, but they hadn't expected her to be even more disgraceful than they had imagined. Su Yunxi walked up to her and sneered. If you dare keep spouting nonsense, be careful or I'll sue you for defamation. A clown like you isn't even worthy of catching our boss's eye. Don't you know your own worth? Don't be shameless when you're being shown mercy. Without waiting for her to retort, Su Yunxi took out her lawyer's license and waved it in front of Bai Lu, then said, don't think you can act unconvinced in front of me. I'm a world-class top lawyer. If I really sue you, I'll make you pay 100,000 or so. Even if you sold yourself, you still wouldn't be able to afford it. Bai Lu had never seen anything like this before and cowered on the spot, then was pulled aside by Lu Su in a dejected manner. But the way she looked at Su Yang was still burning hot. At this time, Su Yang had no interest in eating anymore and said to the restaurant owner, boss, make the banquet I ordered before as planned and deliver it to me tomorrow at noon. As for these unfinished dishes, just throw them away, so two wild dogs don't cart them off. After saying that, Su Yang didn't spare Bai Lu and Lu Su even a glance, and left without hesitation with Su Yunxi and Su Muyu. The two women clung to Su Yang's arms and nestled against him, making Bai Lu so jealous she was fuming inside and cursing those bitches. Don't forget what I arranged for you. The Sutian Group stock must be sold within 1 month. Back in the car, Su Yang emphasized it to the two sisters again. Understood. The two nodded. Also, register 2 companies for me in China. 1 large logistics company and 1 online live streaming company. Su Yang instructed again. As for the capital for registering the companies, there's no need to pay it in. Subscribed capital will do. The two didn't ask why he wanted to do this. Since the boss had instructed it, they just carefully noted it down and would complete it. Of course, Su Yang was doing this to prepare for the apocalypse. And these 2 companies were both being prepared for stockpiling supplies on a large scale. After all, his funds were abundant. If he started hoarding that much stuff on a large scale, it would definitely arouse suspicion from quite a few authorities. But using these 2 companies as a cover would be just right to dispel suspicion, giving him a legitimate and well-founded explanation, and no one would be able to find anything on him. Su Yang had long since planned out how to deal with the frozen apocalypse after his rebirth, first by stockpiling large amounts of survival supplies. In any case, he had portable space with him. No matter how much he stockpiled, it would all fit. It would also be easy to carry, and things stored in the space wouldn't spoil. As for how he knew what the space could do, weren't all those apocalypse novels written that way? It wasn't like he had never read them. He just needed to find time to verify it later. While stockpiling supplies, he also had to build an extremely sturdy shelter, and that unsold villa in Yunfeng residential complex was just right. 4 floors above ground, 3 underground, plenty of area, and a large yard of 1,000 square meters. After the shelter was built, he would have to consider how to defend it from being breached, as well as revenge. If he wanted to complete revenge against so many people by himself with bare hands, that definitely wouldn't work. He had to stockpile enough firearms, or even military weapons. As the saying goes, beyond 7 steps a gun is fast. Within 7 steps, a gun is both accurate and fast. As long as he had a gun in hand, if anyone dared set their sights on him again, 1 shot to blow them away would do. Besides firearms, it would be best to also have heavy weapons and weapons of mass destruction. The longer the frozen apocalypse lasted, the more chaotic human order would become. The more powerful the weapons, the better he could protect his own safety. It just so happened that some time ago there had been a broad review of domestic industry, and quite a few private enterprises had produced some good stuff that could be converted for military use with a little modification and with tremendous power. For example, the twin-tailed scorpion drone made by a certain firm, or the drones developed by a certain Jiang. Just add weapons, and they become killing machines. And if he wanted to purchase on such a large scale without arousing suspicion, using the name of starting a large logistics company was perfectly suitable. As for the weapons needed for modification, naturally, he would have Su Muyu and Su Yunqi make the contacts as his second granduncle's trusted aides. And with Sutian Group being a huge international conglomerate, it wasn't unreasonable that they would know arms dealers in some countries, right? This was exactly why Su Yang wanted to keep that $5 billion in overseas accounts, because transferring that much money out from China all at once would definitely make people suspicious. Whereas if the transactions went through overseas, no one would connect it to him, and he wouldn't run into trouble. As the saying goes, if a man has no long-term plans, he will have immediate worries. Being cautious was good for him. On the way back after dropping off the 2 sisters Su Yunqi, Su Yang's brain was working frantically as he ran through his plan once again. And only after plugging every loophole did he finally let out a sigh of relief. He asked again, if we lose control of Sutian Group, will the companies that previously cooperated with the group still acknowledge you? That's not a problem. The 2 answered at the same time. My second granduncle is already dead. Can you still get in touch with his old acquaintances, or the people who once received his favor? Su Yang asked again. Yes, we know all the people old Mr. Su met during his lifetime. Su Yunqi said without hesitation. They are all elites in their respective fields. Are there any major foreign arms dealers among these people? Su Yang looked at the 2 seriously. Su Yunqi and Su Muyu thought carefully for a moment and replied, there actually is one, in the North Bear Nation. There's hope. A smile appeared at the corner of Su Yang's mouth, and he continued, what about experts in weapons? Yes, we know a weapons R&D company in Eagle Sauce Country, which previously wanted the Sutian Group to invest, but old Mr. Su refused. This time, Su Yunqi answered without even thinking. Very good. Su Yang nodded in satisfaction. You've arrived where you live, get out of the car. Seeing the resentful looks in their eyes, Su Yang gave a final instruction. Keep your phones on and answer my calls at any time. Maybe one day I'll have an important task for you. The 2 watched as Su Yang drove away without trying to stop him. They still had to sell off their fixed assets in new country, and they also had to sell their stocks within a month, so the task was quite heavy. They had to rest well and return to new country early tomorrow morning. Su-young drove all the way without obstruction, returned to Fengyun residential community, parked the car, and headed straight for the Lianjia office outside. "Hello, sir. Are you looking to rent or buy a house?" A female staff member, about 23 or 24 years old, and with looks around 70 out of 100, quickly stood up and asked when she saw him walk in. Su-young did not waste words and directly stated his purpose. When the other party heard that he was here to buy a house, the smile on her face became even brighter. "What kind of layout are you looking to buy, sir?" she quickly asked. Su-young did not waste words either and directly spent 30 million to buy villa number 001. Fengyun residential community could only be considered a mid-range neighborhood in Jizhou City. A total of 40 buildings were built inside. And when the developer was planning it back then, they had a sudden whim and wanted to build a high-end villa in the central area, which was the current number 001. It was also fully decorated, ready for immediate move-in. But because the asking price was too high, it was originally listed at 40 million, and it had never sold. Even now, after being reduced to 30 million, no one was interested. It really takes all kinds. Building a luxury villa for sale in a neighborhood that wasn't even truly mid-range was just plain absurd. Just think, what rich person would buy a villa worth tens of millions here? Wouldn't that lower their own status? If they really wanted to buy one, they would go somewhere with a better location and better value retention. Rich people may be rich, but they're not stupid. It could only be blamed on how good the domestic real estate market was a few years ago. Quite a few developers sold out all their homes after building just a front gate. And to this day, all that's left there is that gate. The reason Su-young took a liking to this villa was, first, because the people who killed him in his previous life all lived in this neighborhood. Second, because it was move-in ready, which was convenient. The last reason was that the layout was good, the view was open, and the area was large enough. There were many rooms. It perfectly matched the conditions he envisioned for surviving the apocalypse. Once the apocalypse arrived, it wouldn't be enough just to have food and warm clothes. It also had to be solid, entertaining, maintain quality of life, and support both physical and mental well-being. Most importantly, it had to be sturdy enough that others could not break in. Because this villa had been built relatively early, it was a detached house with a 1,000 square meter yard. Even before buying it, Su-young had already thought it through. He couldn't stay cooped up in the villa all the time, or he would go crazy sooner or later. And this relatively large yard would be just right for coming out to relax. He could put in a water feature, raise some fish, and plant some flowers there. Then build a swimming pool and go swimming whenever he had nothing to do. If he got truly bored, he could even open up a vegetable garden. Growing vegetables would be no problem. But if he wanted to grow things in the extremely low temperatures of an ice and snow apocalypse, the prerequisite was figuring out how to keep the entire yard at a constant temperature. Only after paying the money and receiving the villa keys from the developer did Su-young finally breathe a sigh of relief. Because he bought it in full payment, the procedures were handled very quickly. The moment he got the keys, it meant the villa was officially his. Su-young did not linger at all and drove out again. Although, he had been reborn for less than a day and should have rested more or studied his portable space. There were still 3 months before the apocalypse. But Su-young felt that he simply didn't have enough time. There were still far too many things to do. After all, spending assets worth hundreds of billions before the apocalypse arrived was still somewhat difficult. Soon he found a very famous domestic security company, the Jizhou branch of Jianlong Security Group. "Hello, Mr. Su. I am Wang Jianmin, the head of Jianlong Security Group's Jizhou branch." After Su-young explained his purpose, Wang Jianmin walked up with a smile to greet him. "May I ask, Mr. Su, what kind of functions do you want this safe house to have? And do you have any special requirements?" "Sturdiness, lighting, insulation, filtration, ventilation, an independent power system, and independent water supply and drainage systems." Su-young listed his requirements one by one. Also, it would be best if it had an independent defense system and a crisis early warning system. If all of these can be done and a counterattack system can also be installed, that would be ideal. Aside from the crisis early warning system and the counterattack system being somewhat difficult, everything you mentioned above is very simple. Wang Jianmin thought for a moment and said, "In our safe house rating system, your requirements only rank as D class, which we can fully satisfy. As for the crisis early warning system, we can install 2 radar systems for you, 1 air defense radar and 1 whole house warning radar. The air defense radar can detect missile strikes from high altitude, while the whole house warning radar can clearly detect any corner within 200 meters inside and outside the safe house, so that the slightest disturbance will be obvious to you at a glance, allowing you to prepare in advance. As for the counterattack system, we are only responsible for installing it and making your safe house achieve what you want. Namely, enabling counterattacks outward from any corner without causing any impact on yourself. But we are not responsible for weapon installation. You'll need to find a way to handle that yourself. It's just that these two systems are relatively expensive. I made an estimate just now. The safe house you want to build is a villa with 3 underground floors and 4 above-ground floors, with many rooms and a complex structure. Building it all will cost $40 million, and with the two systems I mentioned above, the total comes to $50 million. After it is completed, your safe house will be able to withstand 10 uninterrupted strikes from an RPG rocket launcher at any single point. D-Class, 10 strikes from an RGP rocket launcher at the same point? Suyang frowned and said, "It's still not sturdy enough and not safe enough. How many levels of safe houses does Jinlong have, and what is the highest?" "There are 6 levels in total. A, B, C, D, E, F. Wang Jianmin replied. A is the highest. F is the lowest. Both domestically and abroad, we have built quite a few safe houses for some wealthy people or apocalypse enthusiasts. And most of them are E-Class and F-Class. D-Class ones like Mr. Su's are quite rare. And as for A-Class safe houses, since Jianlong Security Group was founded, we have built only one. However, that was already 20 years ago. The materials back then were not as good as they are now. So if it were rated again today, it would at most reach B-Class. There are actually that many people building safe houses?" Suyang thought to himself. It seems that rich people, no matter when, are always much more alert to risk than ordinary people. How far can an A-Class safe house go? His words stunned the other party for a moment, and then he replied, "An A-Class safe house can defend against nuclear bombs." "Can it really withstand the direct strike of a nuclear bomb?" Suyang's eyes lit up as he immediately asked. Wang Jianmin shook his head helplessly. "Theoretically, it can. After all, it has never actually suffered a nuclear strike. But according to our company's precise calculations, as long as it is not hit directly by a nuclear warhead, there won't be any problems." After explaining, the other party seemed to think of something and said again, "The most terrifying thing about an A-Class shelter is not its defense, but its counterattack capability. It is equipped with high-precision detection radar and air defense radar, allowing it to detect invading enemies outside at all times. Even stealth fighter jets or high-precision missiles can be accurately locked onto. It is also equipped with large missile launchers and close-in defense guns, which can work with the intelligence system inside to achieve precise defense and strikes. Top-tier security, protecting both inside and out. Therefore, an A-Class shelter is also known as a war fortress." But Wang Jianmin changed the subject and said helplessly, "We are only a private enterprise and have no weapons authorization. And domestic conditions do not allow it either. So when building such a war fortress, we can only install high-precision radar, air defense systems, and intelligence systems. As for weapons and such, there is nothing we can do." Suyang, shocked beyond measure, did not notice the disappointment on the other party's face. In his heart, he shouted, "With a turtle shell that can attack when advancing and defend when retreating. Ugh, I mean a war fortress. I could practically hide in it until the end of time. Who could still hurt me? Whoever comes, I'll start by washing the ground with missiles. I refuse to believe I can't blow you to death. Wouldn't the inside of such a war fortress be vulnerable to cyber attacks or hackers?" Suyang stared fixedly at the other party and asked, "You should know that no matter how strong a fortress is, it can still be brought down from within. After all, there are radar systems and intelligent devices inside, so a network is unavoidable, which means there is a possibility of being hacked. Even if it is built, if the other side opens it from the inside, it would still be useless." "No," Wang Jianmin answered without the slightest hesitation. "These devices are all independent and are not connected to any external network. No matter how skilled a hacker is, they cannot break in. As long as the power inside the war fortress does not fail, it will not stop operating. And for the entire war fortress, whether from the outside or the inside, only the owner can open it. Absolutely safe." "Good, this is the one I want." Seeing that the other party did not seem to be lying, Suyang decisively chose to build an A-grade war fortress. "Mr. Su, do you really want to build an A-grade one?" Wang Jianmin asked somewhat incredulously. "You should know that building something of this level domestically, aside from being sturdy, cannot have any weapons installed. It's just an empty shell and not practical at all. Are you sure you're not joking?" "I only joke with friends." Suyang smiled faintly and said again, "You just need to build it according to the process. Since weapons can't be installed, there should be no problem installing weapon launchers inside during construction, right? That's no problem. As long as there are no weapons, It doesn't matter how many launchers are installed. Wang Jianmin said frankly, although he was also worried that after building this thing, if the other party got hold of some highly destructive weapons, it would implicate both him and the company. But this was Great Xia, the country with the strictest controls on guns and heavy weapons, and highly destructive weapons, were simply impossible for the other party to obtain domestically. Even if they could get them abroad, they wouldn't be able to bring them back, so he still had a good sense of the situation. If the other party could afford it, and as long as nothing would go wrong, why not take the job? And another thing, Su Yang immediately added, what I want is not some pitch-black, weird-looking shelter, but to preserve the appearance of the villa. After all, I don't want to arouse anyone else's suspicion, and comfort must also be taken into account. Rest assured, our technology may not be the best in the world, but being among the top few is definitely no problem. The villa will look the same after the renovation as it does now, while still being nuclear bomb-proof. Then can you make it into one whole unit, so that if one day I want to move somewhere else, I can just take it away directly like this? Su Yang picked up an architectural model on the table to indicate what he meant. That would be rather difficult. Wang Jianmin frowned deeply. The client's requirements were a bit too high. Turning a shelter into a single integrated structure is not like building a house, where you can just lay the foundation and be done. Nor is it like building a subway, where you just dig a tunnel and reinforce the surroundings. Even hollowing out an entire mountain and constructing a nuclear bomb-proof shelter would not be difficult for them. The difficulty lay in how to build an integrated war fortress that could be relocated at any time. Wang Jianmin remained silent for a long time, thinking it over. As long as you can do it, money is not a problem. Su Yang raised the offer again. The reason he wanted to build the shelter this way was to prepare for the unexpected. If one day Jizhou City was no longer suitable for him to survive in, or if he encountered an enemy he could not deal with, then when fleeing, he could use his space to take the shelter with him and find another place to hide. Although he still did not know whether his portable space could fit such a huge war fortress inside, he at least had to plan ahead first. You still have to have dreams. What if they come true? The moment Wang Jianmin heard there would be more money, his tightly furrowed brows instantly relaxed, and he said to Su Yang, although it's technically difficult, it's not impossible to overcome. Just making it into a single integrated structure alone will require 100 million. No problem, I'll add another 200 million for you. Su Yang agreed readily and said again, but I have one requirement, and that is to cover my 1,000 square meter courtyard with nuclear bomb-proof high-strength transparent glass, and it must also be connected to the villa as a whole, and like the villa, it must be able to be taken away too. With humanity's current technology, there is no glass with such high strength. It can't be made nuclear bomb-proof, but it can be made resistant to hypersonic missiles. Would that work for you? Wang Jianmin shook his head and said, covering the entire courtyard with glass of such high strength and making it into one whole with the villa is already no easy task. And on top of that, the defensive capabilities of the two sides are different. Mr. Su, why do you want to do this? To make a sunroom. Su Yang said casually. A sunroom like that would cost quite a lot. The other party curled his lips, clearly not believing what he said. Instead, he proposed another plan again. Mr. Su, although the courtyard's defensive capability is inferior to the villa's, just in case, when we build your villa, we can specifically leave a design in place so that if your courtyard really is breached, the villa's main door can automatically close, without affecting your safety inside the villa. Under normal circumstances, you can still move freely in and out of the courtyard, and the temperature, air humidity, filtration system, and facilities in the courtyard will all be the same as those inside the villa. So this will not only ensure your safety, but also keep your quality of life from declining. At a critical moment, if you really encounter a nuclear strike, it can even let you sacrifice the tail to save the body. Absolutely. Su Yang nodded. How much will it cost, and how long will it take to complete? Adding up all the expenses, it will be a total of 1.5 billion. Wang Jianmin said slowly. With full-speed construction, at least half a year. I'll add another 500 million to round it off. Su Yang said readily. I'll give you 2 months to finish it. Wang Jianmin was stunned. This isn't a matter of adding money. The time is simply too short. Su Yang, 2.5 billion, completed within 2 months. Mr. Su, there really isn't enough time. Wang Jianmin shook his head again. Add another 500 million, 3 billion in total, completed within 2 months. Su Yang said firmly, this is already my limit. If you can't do it, then I'll find another company. When the other party heard 3 billion, the expression on his face twitched, and he agreed on the spot. Deal? All right, I'll first give you a 1 billion deposit, And after the war fortress is completed in 2 months, I'll settle the remaining 2 billion balance. Su Yang immediately transferred 1 billion to the other party. After signing the contract, and once the money arrived, Wang Jianmin immediately convened a company meeting to prepare the construction plan. Su Yang walked out of Jianlong's security group and let out a long sigh of relief. He felt that spending these 3 billion was absolutely worth it. After all, this was a place that could save his life after the apocalypse arrived. Just as he had told Su Yunxi and Su Muyu, money only counts if you're alive to spend it. If you're dead, it's not even as good as paper. By the time he left Jianlong Group and returned to Fengyun Residential Complex, it was already 6 in the evening. Su Yang did not go straight home, but once again came to Lianjian next to the complex. He put up the house his adoptive father and mother had left him for sale. Even though he had plenty of money, there was no reason to waste it. By the time he returned to the complex, news of his sudden wealth had already spread throughout the building where he lived. The people living in the same building as him looked at him with burning eyes. They all came up to greet him. "Xiao Su, I heard you've gotten rich lately and become a big boss." Old Master Wang said with a smile. "I knew this kid would have a promising future ever since he was little. See, I was right, wasn't I? Now that you've become a big boss, don't forget us old neighbors." The moment he saw Old Master Wang's hypocritical face, Su Yang's face filled with killing intent. In his previous life, after inheriting the estate, Old Master Wang's family had often come to borrow money from him. After the apocalypse arrived, Su Yang had also often taken out supplies to help their family, but they were among the people who broke into his home. After killing him, this old bastard was also the one who spat on his corpse the most. "I definitely won't forget your family," Su Yang said through gritted teeth. But the other party did not catch the meaning in his words and remained cheerful as ever. "I heard you got rich and even booked a banquet to treat us neighbors to a meal. When is it starting?" Li Changshun asked with anticipation. This was another one who had harmed him in his previous life. Su Yang said irritably, "Don't listen to other people's nonsense. When did I get rich? There's no such thing at all. Eat, eat, eat. All you ing know is eating. When the apocalypse comes, just see how I'll deal with you." As he encountered more and more enemies from his previous life, a violent aura rose from Su Yang's body. His whole heart became restless. Afraid that he might not be able to stop himself from going on a killing spree against these people, he exchanged a few perfunctory pleasantries, then quickly left. He came to building 23 and got into the elevator, about to go back to his home. Wait a second. Just as the elevator doors were about to close, a group of people ran over. One of them used his hand to block the elevator doors that were about to close. The doors opened again, and the person who had blocked them immediately cursed rudely. Didn't you hear me tell you to wait a second?" Su Yang was all too familiar with these 5 people. The bald man in the middle, who was the tallest, was named Li Bin. He was the leader of a gang, with more than 100 underlings outside, usually engaged in debt collection and loan sharking. The one who had cursed at him was called Wang Lu, and he, together with the other 3, were all Li Bin's lackeys. In my previous life, I died at the hands of this very group. Li Bin killed me, and Wang Lu dismembered me. Running into them at a time like this really is a narrow road for enemies. Watch your mouth. Murderous intent burst from Su Yang's eyes, and his face was so ferocious it looked like he was about to devour someone. Wang Lu instantly felt a chill all over his body, as if he had fallen into an ice cave. His tendency to bully the weak and fear the strong immediately showed, and he didn't dare look Su Yang in the eye. Only then did he suddenly realize how he could have been frightened like this by an ordinary person, and with his boss and brothers all here, if he backed down now, wouldn't he become a laughingstock? He immediately mustered up his courage and shouted loudly, "You little brat. I've been too nice to you, huh?" As he spoke, he was about to throw a punch at Su Yang's face. Smack! Before his fist could come down, Li Bin slapped Wang Lu on the head. "These are all my neighbors, so show some damn respect." Li Bin cursed. The slap nearly left Wang Lu stunned, and he immediately turned around and looked at him with a mournful face. "How many times have I told you? We're civilized people. How can we go around hitting people?" Li Bin lectured again. "If you dare do this again next time, and you frighten my neighbor, just see how I'll deal with you. And don't come to Fengyun Residential Complex to find me anymore. It'll affect my reputation. I can't afford that kind of embarrassment." "Boss, your lesson is absolutely right. I won't dare do it again next time." Wang Lu nodded and bowed to Li Bin, as humble as could be. Yet he still didn't forget to turn back and shoot Su Yang a sharp look, as if to say, "Kid, this time you not only made me lose face, you also got me scolded by the boss. Just you wait. Are you going or not? Suyang asked impatiently. He was not about to indulge the enemies who had killed him in his previous life, and said irritably, if you're not going, the elevator is going up. Don't delay my business. He also wanted to kill these enemies immediately. Every extra minute they stayed alive was agony to him. The moment he thought about how he had actually been killed and dismembered by these people, endless fury surged in his heart. But Suyang knew it still wasn't time. He had to endure. And once the frozen apocalypse arrived, he'd have plenty of time to deal with them. As the head of a hooligan gang, Li Bin showed no displeasure on his face at Su Yang's utterly impolite words. He said with a smile, "Go, of course we're going." With a wave of his hand, the five of them stepped into the elevator and pressed the button for the 17th floor. "Boss, you're going to your place again," one of the lackeys complained. "Every time we go to your place to talk business, sister-in-law gives us a scolding. Yeah, sister-in-law is way too fierce. Every time, she really tears into us." The other lackeys chimed in as well. "All right, stop complaining. When I have time, I'll buy another house. Not only can it serve as a temporary base, it can also let those of you who perform well go in and play with girls," Li Bin said flatly. Suyang didn't care what they were saying. All he could think about was how to make these people wish they were dead after the apocalypse. Ding! The elevator stopped on the 11th floor, and Suyang stepped out expressionlessly. He opened the door to his home and walked in, casually closing it behind him. Li Bin watched his back, his eyes gradually turning incomparably vicious, and muttered, "How strange. Usually when Suyang sees me, he's always meek and timid, wishing he could run farther away. Why is his hostility so heavy today? If you ask me, that brat just doesn't know what's good for him." Wang Lu, who had just been taught a lesson, snorted coldly. "Boss, how about the brothers and I teach him a lesson? Are you fucking brainless? If you go into his home to teach him a lesson, aren't you afraid the police will come looking for trouble?" Li Bin reprimanded again. "What a dog brain you've got. This kid really isn't the same as before." Another lackey mocked. "He's risen to the top now. Everyone who knows him has been talking about it like crazy, saying he's become a big boss. He even bought that villa in the neighborhood worth tens of millions. Now that the tables have turned, of course he's not afraid of you anymore. Is that so?" A sharp gleam flashed in Li Bin's eyes. No one knew what he was thinking. As soon as Suyang got home, he received several messages from Bai Lu. "Brother Suyang, where did you go this afternoon? I called you and you didn't answer, and when I went to your home, no one was there. I even went to the villa you just bought to look for you, but you weren't there either. It ruined my mood so much that I didn't even feel like going to the concert. You can't let those two flirtatious women fool you. They're only with you for your money. I'm the only one who'll truly treat you well." At the end, she even sent a pitiful emoji. Suyang looked at the messages with a cold sneer and didn't reply. There were also some messages from neighbors, all flattering him after hearing that he'd struck it rich. He ignored them too. Just as he was about to put away his phone, Bai Lu called. Suyang decisively hung up, muted his phone, and tossed it aside. Then he began studying his portable space. With a thought, an invisible spatial door appeared. He stored the table in the living room inside it. Under his control, the stools, sofa, even the bed, refrigerator, and washing machine in the room all entered the space. In just a moment, the entire three-bedroom apartment became completely empty except for Suyang. "Looks like my space isn't small." A smile appeared on Suyang's face. He discovered that even after storing everything in his home inside the space, there was still no sign of crowding in it. Using his mind to observe everything inside, he found an endless expanse of darkness. It gave off an oppressive and terrifying feeling, while all the things stored inside were neatly placed in one small area. "With this thing, I can stockpile survival supplies on a large scale," Suyang murmured. "With endless survival supplies and the support of a war fortress, no matter how long the frozen apocalypse lasts, I can survive steadily." With a wave of his hand, the things stored in the space reappeared in the room, in exactly the same positions as before. "Let me try out the other functions of this space." Suyang hurriedly put the live fish he had bought on the way back into the kitchen sink. Looking at the two fish frolicking happily in the water, he opened the spatial door and stored them inside. A moment later, he released them again. The two lively fish had now become two piles of minced flesh. Every piece of meat looked as if it had been cut by a laser, with perfectly smooth cuts. Suyang looked at the scene before him in shock and immediately came to two conclusions. 1. Living things cannot survive in the space. 2. Any living creature that enters the space will be killed and cut to pieces, but creatures that are already dead will not. Since live fish are killed when they enter the space, what about people? Suyang wondered. That should work too, right? That gave him another trump card for saving his life. To better understand the space's functions, Su-Yang continued experimenting. He immediately stored a bowl of freshly cooked noodles in the space. More than 2 hours later, he took it out. As soon as the noodles were removed from the space, both their condition and temperature were exactly the same as when they had been put in. This discovery delighted him even more. This showed that his space could not only store supplies, but also keep anything placed inside in its initial state, without any change. That function was extremely powerful. To put it plainly, no matter how many survival supplies he stockpiled in the space in the future, he wouldn't have to worry about them spoiling or expiring. It was more effective than any preservation equipment or vacuum device. As long as he stored enough things, he would never again have to worry about food going bad or make special trips out of the war fortress to search for supplies. It would solve the problem once and for all. After a whole night of research, he finally gained a preliminary understanding of this portable space and became proficient in using it. To verify how large an object the space could take, in the middle of the night, he even secretly ran to the villa he had just bought to test whether he could store the villa inside. Possibly because the villa was connected to the ground. He did not get his wish. It seemed this space still had limitations. Things that were fixed in place, or large buildings with very solid foundations, could not be stored inside. But independent objects were no problem. After finishing the test, Su-Yang returned home again and planned out everything he needed to do the next day before finally falling fast asleep. He slept until 9 in the morning before waking up. He turned on his phone and checked the date, March 2nd, 2024. A smile curled on Su-Yang's lips. He got up, washed up, ate something simple, and then left home for his villa in the residential complex. Not long after he arrived, the 1,000 banquet tables he had ordered yesterday were delivered. After the delivery people left, he decisively stored them in the space. A little after 10 a.m., Wang Jianmin arrived with people from Jianlong's security group to begin renovating the villa. Su-Yang walked out of the villa and began his stockpiling plan. Although there was more than 31 billion in his bank card, he was still very cautious when stockpiling survival supplies and didn't dare buy on a large scale. Suspiciousness and caution were his greatest strengths after being reborn. Su-Yang deeply understood that if he started buying survival supplies on a massive scale, with his financial resources, he would definitely buy out the entire city of Jizhou, leaving its population of 15 million unable to carry on with daily life. With survival supplies in short supply, society would definitely fall into turmoil, causing unimaginable consequences. When that time came, for the sake of daily necessities, everyone would join the scramble to hoard survival supplies, driving prices higher and higher. Something neither the authorities nor the state wanted to see, and it would only bring him even greater trouble. If it really came to that, he would be dealt with before the apocalypse even arrived. He couldn't do something so abnormal. He had to be careful, and then even more careful. So he couldn't be like the protagonists in those apocalypse novels, crazily stockpiling survival supplies on a massive scale right from the start. That kind of behavior was courting death. Before Su Yunxi and Su Muyu registered the large online live streaming company, he could only stockpile survival supplies on a small scale first. That way, it wouldn't attract too much attention. Once the company was registered, he could openly use the name of live stream sales to find suppliers and stockpile on a large scale, which would make things much more reasonable. As for whether he actually sold anything, that was his own business. After the ice and snow apocalypse arrived 3 months later, even if someone figured it out, he could rest easy. By then, order would be in chaos, and he would only need to guard against those who knew he had hoarded a large amount of supplies and harbored ill intentions toward him. That was why he insisted on spending 3 billion to build a war fortress with both offensive and defensive capabilities, not simply to become some kind of neighborhood war god, but to guard against those with bad intentions toward him. These people weren't stupid, especially those suppliers, since the supplies were all bought from them. Not long after the apocalypse arrived, they would figure it out. They would definitely know that Su-Yang had abundant survival supplies here, and when people are starving, they are capable of anything. Su-Yang sorted through his plan again and headed straight for a large supermarket near the neighborhood. He started buying all kinds of snacks, self-heating hot pots, meat, vegetables, fruits, and some daily necessities. He kept a good handle on what he bought, not too much and not too little. At a large supermarket, he only spent tens of thousands at a time. It wouldn't attract any special attention, nor would it empty out any one item and prevent others from buying it. The supermarket staff even thought they had met some rich upstart. As long as it didn't arouse suspicion, that was fine. Although this was rather troublesome, it was safer. He just needed to visit a few more large supermarkets. Anyway, There were plenty of them in Jizhou City. Every time he finished buying things, the supermarket would find a truck to deliver them to Fengyun residential community for him. They even thoughtfully carried them back into his home. The neighbors in Building 24, along with people in the community who knew Su Yang, saw trucks coming and going to deliver goods to him, and each of them was filled with envy, especially those who had looked down on him before. They all looked at him with eyes full of envy, jealousy, and resentment. Quite a few people even mocked him sarcastically. A bumpkin gets rich and doesn't know how to spend money, only buying a bunch of useless things and wasting food. What's the use of buying so much? If you can't finish it, won't it all just get thrown away? You might as well give it to us neighbors, and we'd at least think well of you. People really should keep their feet on the ground and take things step by step. If you suddenly luck into fortune, your brain will go bad. Su Yang directly ignored these people. He wanted these neighbors to see that he had stockpiled a huge amount of survival supplies, planting a seed of hope in their hearts, only to personally snuff it out after the apocalypse arrived. He didn't just want to kill people. He wanted to break their spirits too. After the workers moved the supplies into the hall, he put them straight into his space. After doing the math, he found that the large supermarkets and farmers markets in his area had pretty much all been bought out for the day. He couldn't go again today and could only wait until tomorrow. But he still walked out of the house, without resting for even a moment, and went off to stockpile other things. Su Yang's plan wasn't just to eat his fill after the ice and snow apocalypse arrived, but to live well and live comfortably. Things that could improve quality of life were also indispensable. High-end sofas for the wealthy, clothes, fitness equipment, gaming gear. He wanted to buy them all. Ordinary food was only the bare minimum. Premium ingredients were the first choice. Some snacks to kill time were also a must. Lobster, abalone, all kinds of delicacies from land and sea, red wine, mitai, and of course cigarettes. How could he get through the boredom of the apocalypse without cigarettes for company? When those neighbors saw that what he brought back this time were all high-end goods, their eyes turned red with jealousy. Bai Lu looked at him with a strange light flickering in her eyes. After putting these things into his space again, Su Yang stocked up on quite a lot of fried chicken, braised chicken, and Happy Fat House water. There were also all kinds of famous snacks from Jizhou City. These things could no longer be put into his own home. Repeated large purchases would definitely arouse suspicion in the neighborhood, and people would wonder whether his 3-bedroom apartment could even hold it all. He only needed those neighbors to know that he had bought enough stuff. From then on, it would be enough to let them see him making a large purchase once every 10 days or so. Su Yang found a large abandoned factory building, paid 3 months' rent, and had people put the goods there. Then he quietly went back and stored them in his space. Right, how did I forget this? Suddenly, Su Yang smacked his forehead. I still haven't stockpiled purified water. Purified water is indispensable to people no matter when it is. Although this was an ice and snow apocalypse, even if the water supply stopped, he could still melt snow to drink. But he clearly remembered that the snow melt in the apocalypse was not drinkable. The snow in the apocalypse looked no different from ordinary snow. Whether it fell on your body or you touched it, there would be no problem. But it simply couldn't be drunk. He had personally seen quite a few people die from poisoning after drinking water melted from this kind of snow. That was terrifying, and only then did people realize how important drinkable purified water was. The moment he thought of this, he quickly contacted a purified water supplier and had them deliver several truckloads of bottled mineral water. At the same time, he also ordered dozens of large water storage units so that once the villa renovation was finished, he could start storing water. I wonder if this space of mine can absorb the water from Lake Baikal in Bear Country. In an instant, a bold plan appeared in Su Yang's mind. I'll go try it when the time comes. It holds the largest reserves of fresh water in the world. If it works, he wouldn't need to worry about fresh water at all. If he really could take in the water of Lake Baikal, then the 5 Great Lakes of Eagle Sauce Country wouldn't escape either. After all, he had so much money. He couldn't just wreak havoc domestically all the time. He had to spread it around evenly. After refining the plan once again, Su Yang found a 5-star hotel and rented a presidential suite for 3 months, then enjoyed a great feast. If it wasn't necessary, he truly didn't want to see the ugly faces of those neighbors. He only planned to go back once every 10 days or so to let those people know he had stocked up. Usually, there was no need to return at all. After eating and resting, he checked the time and saw it was only around 7 in the evening. Su Yang walked out of the hotel, drove to a large gym, and planned to work out, because in the apocalypse, maintaining a good, healthy body is more important than anything. That is the capital for living longer. Hello, sir. Would you like to get a membership card or hire a personal trainer? The moment he walked in, A gym salesperson came up to pitch him. Which personal trainer is the best here, and how much is one session? Sales pitches and membership offers were basic gym operations, and Su Yang had long since gotten used to them. Our most expensive personal trainer is called Ning Kai Dai. The salesperson pointed to a female personal trainer in the brochure and said, Coach Ning is a retired Special Forces soldier. She only became a personal trainer here after retiring from the military, but her fees are rather high. $500 an hour. Fine, her it is. Without even thinking, Su Yang paid for 3 hours up front. Ning Kai Dai was even more stunning than in the brochure photo. Because she was a retired soldier, she had a heroic and dashing air about her face. She was tall, with curves in all the right places, and with a red crop tank top and yoga pants accentuating her figure, her body looked even more perfect. Although her overall beauty couldn't compare to the Su Yunchi sisters, she could still score at least 90 points. The reason Su Yang chose her as his personal trainer wasn't just because she was pleasing to the eye, but because he knew a little about her. She also lived in Fengyun residential community, just not in the same building. After the apocalypse, when the entire residential complex fell into chaos, she was one of the few who always stuck to her principles. She never took the initiative to attack the weak, so her character was pretty decent. On top of that, she was a retired Special Forces soldier, so maybe he could learn some useful self-defense techniques from her. It was just that Su Yang knew of Ning Kai Dai, while she didn't know him. Mr. Su, have you done any systematic fitness training before? Ning Kai Dai asked after leading Su Yang through the warm-up. No. Su Yang shrugged. Does going downstairs to buy groceries count? Ning Kai Dai shook her head and asked again. Then what exactly do you want to train? Strength, I guess, and overall flexibility and endurance. Su Yang thought for a moment and said, It'd be best if I could also learn some self-defense. Then let's start with building strength first. Ning Kai Dai led him to a row of dumbbells. Start with the lightest one and do 100 reps with each hand. Once you gradually get used to it, then increase the weight. Su Yang looked at the row of dumbbells and picked up the lightest one, which weighed 5 kilograms. He easily lifted it over his head. This is way too light. Su Yang thought to himself. Although he was 182 centimeters tall and weighed 140. Before his rebirth, lifting a bucket of water weighing 5 kilograms with one hand was easy enough, but it definitely wouldn't have felt like it did now, as if it weighed almost nothing. Something must be wrong. Su Yang frowned. Then he picked up a 15-kilogram dumbbell and hefted it in his hand, but it still felt very light. He switched again to a 20-kilogram one, and it still didn't feel much different from before. Just like that, Su Yang kept picking them up and putting them down until he came to the last dumbbell, which weighed a full 50 kilograms. After gripping it in his hand, he finally felt some resistance. But it still wasn't very much, and he easily lifted it 100 times. It seems that after my rebirth, not only do I have a built-in storage space inside my body, but my physical abilities have also been greatly enhanced. This discovery delighted Su Yang immensely. He hadn't noticed it before, probably because he had been preoccupied with stockpiling survival supplies, and hadn't thought in this direction at all. Seeing him casually lift a 100-gene dumbbell with one hand, Ning Kai Dai was dumbfounded. Is this something an ordinary person who has never undergone systematic training could do? A one-arm lift of 50 kilograms. That's the kind of weight heavyweight lifters use in training. Ordinary athletes rarely use it. Mr. Su, you aren't a weightlifter, are you? Seeing Su Yang put down the dumbbell in his hand, Ning Kai Dai asked. No, it's just the first time I felt that I'm actually quite strong. Su Yang shook his head. In that case, let me give you a proper test of your strength. Ning Kai Dai brought over a professional dynamometer. It could display a person's instantaneous explosive force. Su Yang held one ring in each hand and pulled hard. The numbers on it jumped rapidly, and the value stopped at 500. My God, your two-handed pulling force just now was actually 500 gene. Ning Kai Dai was shocked once again. Then she brought Su Yang to a punching bag. At the top of the punching bag was a device for measuring force. It would display the data from each strike. Use your greatest strength and punch this punching bag with one fist. Ning Kai Dai said again. Without a second thought, Su Yang gathered his strength and threw a punch at the punching bag. The device displayed 500 gene. This number left not only Ning Kai Dai stunned, but even Su Yang himself somewhat dazed. He could actually unleash 500 gene of force in an instant. This was too monstrous. Mr. Su, would you be interested in becoming a professional boxer? Ning Kai Dai asked hurriedly. If you want, I can introduce you to a top domestic coach. What kind of concept is a punch with an explosive force of 500 gene? Tyson at his peak could only throw a full force punch of 930 pounds, which is 843 gene. And that was only because he had trained for years and threw that punch while weighing 200 gene in his ideal state. But Su Yang was only 140 gene. And if he increased his weight and trained his power generation over the long term, even if he couldn't match Tyson, he would still become a world-class boxer. But Su Yang had no interest in becoming a boxer and refused without hesitation. Miss Ning, I don't think these dumbbells are of any use to me anymore. You'd better teach me some self-defense techniques instead. Su Yang looked at her and said, it would be even better if I could learn the combat techniques you learned in the special forces. Seeing him refuse, a trace of disappointment flashed through Ning Katie's eyes, but she quickly adjusted and prepared to teach him the military combat techniques she had learned in the special forces. These combat techniques were extremely powerful and could only be learned in the special forces. They were divided into two types. One was grappling, using extremely fast moves to subdue the enemy and leave them unable to resist. The other was offense, ultimate offense, with no flashy moves at all. Every move and every form targeted the enemy's vital points. Perhaps because after his rebirth, his physical abilities had been greatly enhanced, Su Yang learned very quickly. He only needed to watch once to remember each move almost perfectly, and after practicing just a few times, he was already performing them quite convincingly. And so, Su Yang and Ning Kai-dai began sparring. At first he was suppressed at every turn, but before long he was occasionally able to counterattack. After 3 hours had passed, Su Yang was still full of energy, while Ning Kai-dai was already exhausted and panting heavily. The impression Su Yang gave Ning Kai-dai was that his learning ability and the explosive power he could unleash in an instant were simply too strong, and his endurance was downright terrifying. At the beginning, she had been completely dominating him, but now he was already able to fight her on roughly a 40 to 60 footing. In less than 2 days, in terms of techniques alone, he would be on par with her. If they kept training like this, Ning Kai-dai guessed that in less than 5 days, he would be able to completely crush her. All right, today's time is up, Ning Kai-dai said, panting heavily. Go back and get some proper rest. Run through what I taught you a few more times in your mind, and we'll continue practicing tomorrow. All right, thank you, Miss Ning. Su Yang turned and left. By then it was already past 10 at night. Su Yang drove back to the hotel and immediately found the duty manager, saying to him, in a few days I'm holding a banquet, and I need to book 1,000 tables of banquet dishes at your hotel. Have your chefs prepare them tomorrow, pack them up, and deliver them to the designated location. Sir, 1,000 tables of banquet dishes are very expensive. The duty manager said, I can book your presidential suite for 3 months. And you think I can't afford these banquet fees? Su Yang asked irritably, how much? Name a price. 5 million. The duty manager scratched his head. He had really forgotten about that. The man in front of him was a super rich tycoon. He had booked the 5,000 a night presidential suite for 3 months in one go. Su Yang transferred 5 million to him on the spot, and the duty manager left cheerfully. After he left, Su Yang took a hot shower and began planning what he needed to do over the next few days once again. At the same time, he reviewed what he might have overlooked while stockpiling survival supplies today, and wrote down the things he hadn't thought of. Discovering that his physical condition had become stronger today was truly an unexpected delight, and being able to learn the combat techniques that only special forces could learn was also a huge gain. Tomorrow he would continue practicing and ideally become proficient enough to kill an enemy with a single strike. Only after planning out the next day's schedule did Su Yang finally fall into a deep sleep.